Good evening and bienvenue, my fond fair friends, family, and subscribers. This is your humble narrator, Diomedes Rouge, here to bring you, well, part 11 of What If Deku Was a Brachidios. Now, where we last left off, Izuku kinda had a bit of a meltdown. Yeah, wasn't pretty. Wasn't pretty at all. He going through a lot of stuff at the moment. Oof. Poor guy. So yes, we now revisit him as he's currently, well, sitting down in the back room, being comforted by his friends and family. His sister, Shota, Tenya, and of course Katsuki. Followed shortly thereafter by Kaminari and Kirishima. They're all asking him what's going on, why'd you blow up like that, da 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 da. Izuku giving the standard questions, yeah, I just kind of lost it, I don't know, I just blew up, just irritated me, what you expect, it's not like I intended to do that, it just came out. Come on, I'm only human. And he kept this up for a little bit. Eventually, most of them said, sure, yeah, okay. All the standard stuff, like let us know if you need to talk, and just tried to be comforting, but Izuku, Izuku doesn't feel, well, he doesn't feel like he needs comfort. He feels like he needs answers. Answers to so many questions. And he's having, well, to right now sit down and take a breather. What's wrong with me? Why am I like this? As he's doing that, the fights progress. Oh yes, eventually it comes down to, well, the in-canon rounds. Obviously, Kirishima does not have the same issue as before, needing to get into an arm wrestling competition. So it turns into an actual somewhat brawl that he kind of wins easily. Yeah, who would have thought that? You know, person made of iron versus giant F off mini dragon that has a club for a tail. Yeah. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, that thing. You don't mess with that thing. You generally don't mess with that thing. That thing is not to be screwed with. Not unless you know what you're doing, which most people do not. So yeah, one quick bonk. Boom. Out the ring you go. Because obviously thought, my defense is strong. My defense is unbreakable. Sadly, that was not the case. Because while your defense may have been strong, he doesn't have to hurt you to win. Beep! But enough of that. Next, went up to, well, I'm gonna say Katsuki and Uraraka. Yes. And just like in canon, Katsuki doesn't hold back. She lets it rip. She goes full throttle. Just pedal to the metal. And Uraka, well, she holds up. Ochako does her damnedest, as per in canon. And as per in canon, she eventually loses. Because it's goddamn Katsuki. Like, seriously. Seriously. You can't really beat that. Like, yes, your gravity quirk is cool and all, but in this type of area, yeah, you're at a high disadvantage. Unless you're able to get close enough, which the explosions kind of keep you from doing. So again, Katsuki wins. Oh, yes. And then comes, well, Momo versus Kaminari. And Momo's still kind of pissed off about Deku using him as a jumping board. Yeah. But it did look awesome. So he has to give him style points for that at least. So when he's eyeballing his sister, well, oh, you could say a little bit of that anger comes back through. As our Zappy boy, well, he doesn't know the meaning of hybridize. He goes straight into full Zenogre. As Momo doesn't even look phased. Momo just looks at this, goes, neat. What? What, you didn't think I expected this? Kinda. You mean you... Well, yeah, you're my brother's friend. No offense, but, I've kind of known you for a bit. You're kind of predictable. What do you mean predictable? Oh, simple. Next thing you're going to say is, oh, I'm gonna beat... It doesn't matter what you say, I'm going to win no matter what. It doesn't matter what you say, I'm gonna win no... What? Hey! What? You weren't even really paying attention to me. After all, you think you're gonna power your way through and, well, be able to win just because my quirk is creation. Right? Well, that was generally the idea. Funny thing about that. Oh, and what's that? You see, you're a monster. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful term, I mean that in an actual sense. Which means you're tougher, stronger, and bulkier than your standard person, right? Yes. That means I don't have to hold back. What do you mean by... And then she creates a rocket launcher. Be like, wait, hold up now. At this moment, Kaminari realizes he has done goofed. As she pulls the trigger. And... boom! Because, well, I'll admit, Kaminari may be fast. Rockets are faster by a shite ton. And boy, does he get hit. He's still up. He's still alive. He's just a bit bruised and battered. As he winds up having to dig his claws into the concrete just to keep him from getting set flying out of the arena. As... Ow! That could have killed me! No, it wouldn't. What? Oh yeah, my brother's told me how strong you are, so I know exactly how much to hold back by. And I know exactly what to create in order to not kill you. As she then in turn creates an, well, M32 rotary grenade launcher. And if you guys don't know what that looks like, well, pardon me. Yeah, the M32 rotary. Because bleep you and everyone near you. As she says, oh, don't worry, it's mostly filled with tear gas. Wait, what? Doom, 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 doom. All 6 projectiles launching out, impacting poor Kaminari. And, well, as she creates a gas mask. As Kaminari just begins to. Oh, God. Ah, that hurts. That stings. Stop. Screw this. As he, well, in typical Zinogre fashion, jumps straight into the air as high as he can. And, well, calls on a big, big lightning strike. And I mean big. As it impacts the concrete and scatters around, he figures, ah, I've done it. As he, upon landing again, and the tear gas being dispersed due to said lightning, after the smoke clears, she's fine. Huh? How did you? Highly insulated rubber soles. Huh? Industrial grade, highly insulated rubber soles. All I had to do was dodge the primary strike and absorb the concussive force, which wasn't that difficult with this, as she points over and he sees a damn shield stuck in the ground. How are you able to? My brother gave me a few tidbits and tricks on how to be able to create things properly, as well as being able to create things a lot. Well, create more things. As she brings out a item from her back, calorie mate, highly dense. Guess you could call it cookie-like substance, except it has a whole bunch of calories in it. Made for survival training, but works really well with my quirk. As Kaminari begins to realize, oh good God, she's just as crazy as him. As he lunges full strength forward, like, I'm not letting this continue any longer. As upon him going full on hard, going full on fast against her, she creates a spear. You're like, wait, what? As he's about to swing it down, and he realizes, whoa, sharp, pointy object about to go through my hand. As he has to quickly make some minor adjustments in order to not get impaled by his own, well, not to impale himself on her spear. And so this dance continues with essentially Kaminari attacking, then being forced to defend against the things that he, well, did. He throws electrical balls of energy. She hides behind the shield she created previously. He tries to get close. She uses his own weight against him and creates objects that will, well, harm him. He tries to use ranged attacks. She'll basically dodge out the way and be perfectly fine. Meanwhile, she will create more and more gas grenades and or other things like, oh, I don't know, a shotgun loaded with beanbag rounds or rubber bullets, and just pick the ever-loving shite out of them with them. Just over and over and over again. Just like, what the hell? Damn it, you're just as crazy as your brother. Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. As eventually Kaminari gets tired of this and just goes, fine, I don't like doing this, but hybridize! As he takes on a more, well, human-esque looking appearance. And I do not have a proper hybridized looking thing for the Zinogre, so use your imagination. My apologies. As well, this was not something she was expecting because, as she knows, Kaminari doesn't usually like doing that. However, upon doing this, he has far greater speed and agility, easily able to dodge and maneuver around whatever she's throwing at him. Eventually to the point to where Kaminari is able to get behind her, wrap his arms around her gut, and suplex her. Kaboom! Momo is out the round. As he gets up and goes, that was the most annoying fight I've ever had to deal with, and I fought your brother. Good job. I'm going to go lay down. Damn you with the tear gas. Did you really have to launch that many at me? Well, I could have used high explosive. You know what? Tear gas works. As he proceeds to walk off. As Izuku's watching this on the big screen and goes, she did a lot better than I thought she would, but she can be scary when she wants to be. Good to know. Still needs to work on fighting against opponents that are faster than her, but can't really blame her. As then the fight goes down to, well, Mina and Tinya. Oh boy. Pinky versus, well, the heir to Ingenium. And currently, also, the wielder of One for All. Oh, how this is gonna go ugly real quick. Because you see, Pinky, or Mina, thinks she has the advantage. She just gotta make the ground slick all around her and everything, and that'll be fine. Tinya can't move. And if she does, well, she'll slip and slide everywhere. Wrong. Wrong by a country mile. Because upon her trying to do that, Tinya kneels down and just says 2 words. Overdrive. As blue flames start to erupt out of her legs. 1 foot in length. As suddenly she takes off. Whatever acidic slime she left behind is immediately blown away by the speed of Tinya, as she wraps and wraps and wraps around her, doing laps over and over and over again. As whenever she's doing this circle around her, it's as if she's making, well, it's as if there's more than one Tinya. It's as if there's 2, no 4, no 8, no 16, of her just all around her at one time. Not know what to do. Don't know how to react. She starts throwing acid everywhere, trying to cover all her bases, trying to destroy the ground underneath her feet. Only for the real pain to begin, as the images start to move and crisscross in between. Boom, 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 boom. Like some unholy star of destruction. Constant beating and speeding, past and fro. Well, past and through. Poor Pinky. As Mina's caught off guard, and as soon as she'll get hit, boom, gets spun around to get hit again, boom. As there's no break, no stopping, no nothing. As it's constant, boom, 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 boom. From seemingly all directions, she is getting attacked and struck. Until she comes up with a plan. And decides, alright, I've had enough of this. And she does a quick duck and spin around, where she scatters her acid all over the floor around her. But what is she doing if it doesn't work on Tenya? Simple. She's chewing the ground where Tenya has to cross in order to hit her. However, all this does is make Tenya slow down and scoot off to the other side of the ring. As when Pinky thinks she's safe, poor Mina tries to make another play and start to go after her, throwing acid. Unfortunately, she was not. Because in the blink of an eye, Tenya's right back in front of her, slamming her right in the solar plexus, sending her flying out the ring. Turns out the acid on the ground didn't stop her that much. The little hole she made only slowed her down for a second, as she needed to regain her footing. Then we move on to, well, Shota versus Sero. This match is over quickly. Just froze. Done. No offense to poor Sero, but that's out of your league, bud. Especially when you're dealing with someone who isn't afraid to, well, actually do things. And so the next rounds begin. With Kaminari and Kirishima taking up the center stage. As they get into their fighting stances. Zenogre versus Gravios. As they say, man, this is like a wild repeat from last go-round. True enough. Come on now, dang it. Sorry about that. Like a wild repeat from last go-round. Yep. So, you want to make any rules? Any rules? Yeah. Rules in a monster fight? Have you ever heard of such a thing? Yeah, actually. Haven't you ever heard about those underground fight rings? They have rules all the time. True. They do. Alright, what type of rules do you want to make? Well, considering the sheer amount of destruction we could cause, what do you say No monstrification? I'm cool with that. So only hybridize. Only hybridize. Alright, alright. Any others? Sure. We each agree to have a shit ton of fun. Now that's my style. As they both go, hybridize! As Kirishima turns into, well, the hybridized form of the Gravios, gaining wings coming out of his forearm, enough to help him glide. His mace-like tail protrudes at a much smaller size. And boy, does his body begin to harden up like that of iron. Meanwhile, Kaminari begins to grow scales and fur all over his body, protrudes horns out of his head, and his claws begin to extend as both of their bodies grow in size. As the fight begins. Kirishima starting off with a powerful fire beam, just trying to end things quickly. Meanwhile, Kaminari dodges out the way like it was nothing and charges in for a slash, easily blocked and parried by Kirishima's tail, as he gets ready and punches Kaminari right in the gut, sending him flying back. But Kaminari utilizes this, flips in the air and counterbalances with his tail, slamming it down as he does a few spins and twirls, creating concentrated balls of energy and launching them straight at his opponent. Kirishima counters, firing his own fireballs as he lunges forward, attempting to overpower him. It's truly a match between speed and strength, between speed and power versus strength and constitution. What will win? As they slam into each other, claws start digging into Kirishima's carapace. Meanwhile, Kirishima slamming with all his force straight into Kaminari's scales. Over and over they clash and clash, lightning and fire erupting. However, Kaminari forgets one thing about Kirishima. He forgets that he can produce, well, gas. And oh yes, the Gravios can in fact produce gas from its center chest. And this gas can be a couple of different things, but usually it's a loud plume of fire and or sleeping gas. But in this case, most definitely fire. As he releases this plume of fire which begins to burn and singe Kaminari's, well, fur and chest. As he quickly backs up and reorients himself, patting himself down, trying to end this suffering. As he goes, not cool, dude. Seriously? I'm gonna rake. Like, It's like, I'm having fun. As, oh, you bastard. Boom! As before Kaminari could even finish that statement, he's met with a fire beam straight at the chest, sending him back almost completely out of the arena, as he has to dig his claws in again to keep himself from being shoved completely over the edge. As Kaminari says, I'm getting real tired of this. I'm tired of getting pushed back against the wall. As he lets loose a vicious amount of electricity coating his entire body. As Kirishima knows this and goes, "Oh, getting serious now, are we?" "You bet your ass." As he charges. Boom, 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 boom. Each footprint, each footstep impacting the ground, leaving giant prints carved into the concrete. As he lunges himself with intense speeds over at Kirishima. Kirishima forced to go on the defensive, jumping high, gliding, moving whatever he can, knowing that while he's in this state, parrying and blocking ain't gonna do much. He has to evade, because one hit can cause him to get thunder blighted, reducing his speed and setting him up for even worse electrical damage later on. So he has to constantly move and dodge, which is not his style. It's not his way. And that's when he figures out, screw it. Come at me, Kaminari. As he gets a glimmer in his eye, as he sets up and charges the biggest beam he can, as Kaminari just says, finally tired of running, As the electricity begins to pour into his body, over and over, he pools all of it he can muster. As Cementos begins to wonder, okay, maybe I should start prepping. And begins to create a barrier. As Kirishima and Kaminari meet for one final clash, putting everything they have on the line in the center of the arena. As Kaminari pours all of his electricity straight into his fist. Pardon me one moment. As Kaminari pours all the strength he has right straight into his fist. Meanwhile, Kirishima charges every bit of energy he can for one final big burst. And he lets it rip. As the clash ensues, beam against claw. Oh, it's magnificent of a sight. As Kirishima lets loose this overwhelmingly powerful beam of pure heat and energy. As, well, Kaminari is forced to try and power through, pouring all the energy he has into his claws to inch closer and closer, carving through this beam of energy. Which will last longer? Who has more stamina? Who has more power? And in this case, it was Kaminari. Because as Kirishima kept up with the beams, well, he eventually had to take a breath. But meanwhile, Kaminari, all he had to do was keep that energy focused and get in closer. And whenever he took that breath, wham! Whatever power was left in that claw impacted upon Kirishima's hide, upon that thick carapace, and bounced him straight off the floor, up into the air, and followed by a Kaminari tail slam out the ring. Boom! Like a tennis ball. And so, Kaminari was the winner. As he goes, yeah! Alright! As Kirishima isn't moving. He goes, what? And he looks over and Kirishima isn't moving. Kirishima, what's going on, man? Kirishima doesn't respond. As the medics are forced to come out. And they take him into the back bay, where they do some, well, examinations. Yeah, he was knocked unconscious. What do you think I was gonna do to you guys? Had you in the first half, not gonna lie. Yeah, no, Kirishima was just knocked out cold. But Kaminari, he didn't expect that. And so the fights continued. Over and over. Until finally the last setups were ready to go. Shota versus Deku. And at the other semifinal round, well, Katsuki versus Kaminari. Oh yes, this is gonna be one hell of a show. As the battle began to rage once more. As this time we're focusing back on Izuku's side of things. Yeah, that will work. As he's getting ready for his fight, he's putting on this gear to cover him up, this stretchy leotard. As he's beginning to walk out, and sees, well, the female endeavor. Now you may be wondering, why is female endeavor there? Shota already uses her fire. Well, that's simple. She's there, essentially, to wish Izuku luck. And to give him an offer. Hey kid, what do you want, Endeavor? Simple. I just want to wish you good luck on the next match. Against your daughter, don't you think she would need it? Against you, not so much. Remember, you're not that great with dealing with ice. Fire you can withstand fairly well, as we both know. But ice is your weakness. Yeah, and what's your point? Simple. I just wish you luck. And who knows? If you're even able to win, I may have a job offer for you. I don't want any offer from you. Keep it in mind. I know Shota would be happy to have you around. You two are fairly close, and she has been sad about not being able to talk with you recently. Whatever. Are you trying to incentivize me to win against your daughter? No, I'm just letting you know if there by some miracle you do, you may get more out of it than you think. What, are you trying to set me up or something? I already have a girlfriend, and Shota and I are just friends, nothing more. You never know. College is a strange time, after all. I'm not you, and I'm not going out for power, nor fame, nor glory. I go with people who I actually genuinely love and care about. So, fuck off. And yes, I censored myself there. Bite me. As he gets ready for his match with Shota. And boy, oh boy, what a match it is. Because as soon as he enters the ring, boom, hybridize. Not wasting any time. Like one step in, hybridize. As Shota's just looking at him going, you know I have the advantage here, right? Do you honestly believe that? well, you are weak against ice. If you truly believe that you hold the advantage just based off of type elements, then you haven't learned anything at all in our time together. You should know me very well by now that no matter what type of power you bring against me, I'll always break it down. No matter what obstacles stand in my way, they will be destroyed. For I will be the new devastation! It would be like you to say that, as they both set up in their fighting styles. And President Mike, we got to ready, set, go! As boom, they both launch off. Or rather, I should say, Izuku launches off. Shota launches a shite ton of ice, just creating an ice pillars over and over again, coating the entire arena, it seems. But Izuku, he's utilizing this. He's loving this. Why, you may ask? His claws. Whenever she creates ice and tries to cover him in it or launch it at him, he jumps, lands, and uses his claws to grab onto the ice. Because, just in case y'all don't know, no matter what the terrain, a Brachidios can appear in it. Whether it be in the deepest lava pits or in the coldest of tundras, they're there. They're apex predators. They give zero fucks about where they show. They give zero about where they go, as long as there's a good fight and good food. And Izuku is a super intelligent Brachidios. Quite literally a hyper intelligent guided warhead. Oh boy, are things about to get nasty. As Shota keeps on, well, creating more and more ice, tossing more and more at him, from ice spikes to ice walls, coating the ground, trying to entrap him as he just moves, dodges, gets out the way. Any ice wall she sends, he sends back at her in chunks, forcing her to dodge and or burn it. And as soon as she lets out the fire, he sees his opening. Because he realizes something about Shota that even she doesn't know. At point blank range, when Shota uses her fire, and you can see this with the actual Shoto, he has a momentary blind spot. Because as we all know, fire is bright. And whenever you launch fire at that close range of yourself, everything else seems a bit darker, a bit duller, until your eyes refocus. By the time her eyes get refocused back on him, he's right next to her. And boom! Slams her right in her gut, sending her flying into an ice pillar. Almost completely out of the ring if it wasn't for the sheer fact she was able to recover. Not bad, Izu. I told you. As he gets into a proper fighting stance and begins to bounce on his feet like an actual boxer. Because he is one, by the way, in case y'all forgot. I told you. It doesn't matter what gets in my way, I'll break it down. What obstacle you put in front of me will be destroyed. For I am the new devastation, and I won't let anything stop me. Alright, then let's say you like this. as she calls on her trump card. She creates a giant, powerful block of ice and sends it straight at him. When I say giant, I'm talking iceberg levels. And Izuku, he just goes, well, shit. Alright then, monsterfication! As he transforms into the full-fledged Brachidios and lets loose a terrifying roar as he begins to pummel that iceberg more and more, smashing it apart as it makes as before it can even make contact. However, there's only so much that can do before he's overwhelmed just by the sheer size of it. And as it fully impacts, he has to make a choice. And he does. He rears his head back and slams into it, digging his feet into the concrete as he releases a very, very large amount of slime straight into the heart of the iceberg itself, causing it to go boom, shattering it into several chunks. However, that's exactly what Todoroki wanted. Because at that point, Izuku looks up and sees Shota calling on her fire side and releasing a torrent of flame right where Izuku is. Now, normally this wasn't cause Izuku any problems. However, he's surrounded by ice, and the torrent of flame Shota's letting loose is very hot and very powerful. So hot and powerful that the giant shards of ice that are now all around Izuku, well, if any of you watched my Volgana series, you would know about, well, not series, the Volgana one-shot. You would know where this is going, but I'll repeat. The ice begins to melt. However, the fire is so great that what water is there turns to steam faster than it melts into water and is stayed trapped within the ice itself. As more and more water is incinerated into gas, building up larger and larger amounts of pressure, an entire 280 degree axis of force all around Izuku. Well, several chunks of ice explode. And when I say explode, I mean explode. Each one of them with the power of a fragmentation grenade, if not higher. And in case you don't know, that's very high. But worst case, the chunks of ice that get spread out and shot. As when the fire dies down, the crowd looks after the explosions have taken place and see a hybridized Izuku taking a knee. As Shota's going, what the hell? How did you... You didn't think I wouldn't notice? As soon as I saw you charging up your fire, I knew what you were planning. Remember, I'm not a monster. I'm not some dumb beast. I'm actually quite intelligent. I didn't think you'd try and make a steam bomb trap, though. Oh, that rocked me. But not as much as I'm gonna rock you. Wait, what? Boom! As he says two very unsettling words towards Shota. Slugger style. Wait, what? Boom! As he launches himself into the air, you know the way the Brachidios does, and comes down making a large impact straight onto what's left of the concrete. As Shota's forced to back away, try and take a breather. However, Izuku's not giving her that option. As he says, Swarmer style, gets into a different position and begins to throw a flurry of punches left, right, and center, not letting her catch one break, not letting her even try and recover, pushing her to her absolute limits of stamina. She's forced to try and dodge and evade, getting pecked and hit every so often by Izuku's fists, knocking her down, around, and everywhere else in between. As he quickly slams his tail into the ground, launches himself backwards, and then goes outliner. As she thinks, finally, a chance to breathe, as he begins to take, well, chunks of ice that were left on her side, because we are on her side at this point, and starts launching them out at extreme velocities, using his raw power in his fists. Over and over, chunks of ice get slammed into her. How do you like it? As boom, boom, boom. However, upon the third impact, the third ice chunk hitting her dead in the thigh, he gets right up close, taking advantage of everything he can, and just BAM! Punching her straight in the forehead, right out the ring. Now, granted, he held back quite a bit, because he realizes, yeah, he could kill her if he didn't. And he didn't produce any slime at that point either. And so, the next match, this match ends with Izuku as the winner. And the next match, Katsuki versus Kaminari. As they both enter the arena, Katsuki is already irritated, as Kaminari, he's tired. That fight with Kirishima still wore him out. Even though he had a little bit of time to breathe, it was still tiring. But he soldiers on. And so the fight begins. Immediately, with Katsuki launching herself straight at Kaminari. Kaminari dodging, weaving out of the way, going straight to his monsterification Zinogre form to try and end this quickly. However, Katsuki was expecting this, and right whenever he tried to slam her down with his claws, she launches herself in the air, gets up right behind him, holds out her hands and goes, "Howitzer impact!" and fires a round straight at Kaminari's back. And he goes, "What the boom? Ah, son of a..." As he's forced to duck and roll. Ah, damn it, that hurt. I'm gonna kick your ass. As he begins to spin, wildly swinging that tail, trying to catch her off guard, which it does the first time. The first hit sweeping, knocking her out of the ring, so it seemed. However, using the explosions, she launches herself straight back at him and gets right dead in his face. Huh? Boom! And with a loud, thunderous crack, that big punch of hers turns even bigger with a mighty explosion at point blank range, knocking Kaminari dazed, as well as shattering a horn on his left side. Oh, that hurt. As Katsuki takes this opportunity, does a swivel to get right at, and does a swivel. And why? Simple. To reorient herself straight at Kaminari's gut. She basically does a pirouette tour and gets right next to his gut. And unleashes an unholy amount of force to launch him straight out the arena. And this time Kaminari does not grip the floors with his claws, as he is indeed launched. And that's where I'll end this episode off here with Katsuki as the winner. The next round will be Katsuki versus Izuku Midoriya. Hope you all enjoyed. Have fun. Please do. Well, tell me how you liked it. Leave a comment, because I really do care about y'all's opinions on the show. It helps me grow it as well as maybe alter it from my previous ideas. Have a good time. See you later.